All right. Good morning. I'm Colleen Cook, and I am the Director of Communications with the National Parents Union. And we're here today bringing you our partner spotlight. We have Eve Sullivan from Parents Forum with us today. And Eve is going to introduce herself and tell us a little bit about her organization, who they serve, where they serve, and how we can get involved. Eve, I'm so happy to see you. It's been a little bit since we've had you on, probably a good 6 to 9 months since we've really done some live shows like this, and it's nice to have you back. The last time we had you on, you were doing an incredible fundraiser. You did you meet your goal? Is one question, and what was that goal?
Well, thank you. First of all, Colleen, thank you, and thanks to the National Parents Union. We joined, Parents Forum joined NPU early on. In your short history, we have a longer history, but we joined you because one of your key goals is to bring best practices to parents. And we are convinced, we are strong believers that our peer support model is a best practice. I think parents are almost too busy most of the time to reflect on what we're doing, what we're thinking, and most of all, how we're feeling. So what Parents Forum does is bring parents together to reflect on how things are going at home, what the personal challenges are, the parenting challenges are, and help each other out. So let me answer your question about our fundraiser. Last fall, Parents Forum applied to be part of a national crowdfunding grant-making effort run by USA Today, and with the backing of Gannett Foundation, which is their parent. And our entry was a lifeline and an anchor. As you mentioned, Colleen, we consider ourselves to be a lifeline for parents and an anchor for communities. And the goal in the category, there was low budget and high budget groups. We were in the lower budget. Our goal was to raise $3,000. That was the minimum in order to be eligible to get a grant from Gannett at the end. Well, we more than raised $3,000. We raised $6,000. Happy.
Wonderful.
So we definitely qualified for a grant. And at the end, what we got was a local operating grant of $7,500. So we had over $11,000, $12,000 in the bank, which was more than Parents Forum had had in quite a long time, and very happily so. So we're right now in the midst of a consulting and reevaluation process to improve our approach to serving and engaging parents.
Wonderful. That's really wonderful. That is, I know that in the beginning of your fundraising, we had you on a couple different shows and a couple different times to try to help promote and bring awareness and bring in those funds. So I'm so excited that you were able to, exceed your goal, far exceed your goal. That's amazing to really double it, and to be able to do the work that you're doing for the families in your community. And can you tell us a little bit about the work that you at Parents Forum do, what you provide for communities?
What we provide really, Colleen, is a structure, a curriculum, which I wrote 30 years ago. I can't believe that. But a curriculum which consists of 8 questions, which allows parents to look at what they're doing, how they're feeling about what they're doing. And the 8 questions are really pretty simple. I can recite them for you. And they serve both parents, and we've given this workshop, not calling it Parents Forum, but calling it Spotlight on Conversation, for teens and young adults. So here are the 8 questions that make up Parents Forum. We start with the positive. What do you like about your family or your household? That's where we all begin, right? We love each other, we make families, and it's off to the races. The second question, what troubles you about your family or household? And in asking that, don't look right away for a solution. We sit with the discomfort or the anxiety or whatever the feelings are. We say, just what is it that's bugging you? Whether it's the cap on the toothpaste tube or who knows what. Then the third question is really the core of our approach. The question is, how do you ask for and give help in your family or for your family in the community? And we do a mini role play, and the title of it is How to Tell Somebody Something They'd Rather Not Hear.
Yeah.
Do we all need that?
We probably do. It's not the most pleasant to have to do that. And it's not always pleasant to receive something we don't want to hear, right? So I'm assuming that that's part of the role play is the telling and the receiving. But honesty and that communication is so important for any relationship, but especially important with those that we're closest to in our families and our close friends. So how does that go?
But we do it before and after. We're only up to question 3, so I've got 5 more questions to explain. But question 3, the how to ask for and give help, the how to tell somebody something they'd rather not hear. We do a before and after.
Okay.
So we do the before is like, Colleen, you were late, you don't respect me, and you threw your clothes all over the back hall, and what's the matter with you, and la la la. But then in the revised, enlightened version, we say, Colleen, I was really worried about you coming home so late last night. I love you. I'm disappointed in you not putting your, hanging up your coat and putting your shoes away, because order is important to us. And, next time I'd really appreciate if you let me know you're going to be late and leave things in good order when you come in. And it's like, oh, I can tell my child that I'm angry. I can tell him or her. I can tell my partner that my nose is out of joint, right?
It's probably much easier to tell it than to yell it, right? Because sometimes
Well, what we look at when we get to that point is how negatively satisfying it is to blow off steam.
Right.
It gives you a really strong kick of, I don't know what chemical, but it gives you a kick, but it doesn't solve anything.
Right.
So you learn to take the breath and frame your feelings, still being honest, but frame them in a respectful, caring way is the key. So the last 5 questions after that blockbuster of a how to tell somebody something they'd rather not hear. The next 2 questions are getting acquainted, and we talk about household values and household rules. And we look at how a value, for example, cleanliness or good nutrition, will stay the same, but will involve different rules as children grow. So a 5-year-old, wash your hands after you use the toilet before you eat supper, whatever. On nutrition, well, maybe they can make peanut butter crackers at age 5 and cut up carrots. At age 10, the rules are different. Maybe at age 15, we have to talk about hygiene as it relates to sexual health. And we talk about nutrition in terms of avoiding all of the delicious things that are bad for us. So those are the getting acquainted questions. Then there are 2 questions on getting serious. What happens when someone joins your family? And what happens when someone leaves your family? And these are both the small hellos and the big hellos. I mean, a baby is born, a wedding, a marriage, and then a birth. And then at the other question, what happens when someone leaves? Death, divorce, we talk about strong feelings, they come up. And then the last question is in a way the most challenging one, because we've asked this when we've worked in prisons. We've asked it of the young people we've worked with in Spotlight and parents, of course. What changes have you experienced and what are your feelings about them? And what changes do you anticipate or want? So it shouldn't work, but it does, Colleen.
Yeah. It
shouldn't work, but
so is you when you host these, is it online? Is it in person? These workshops that you do for People just
Well, most
think,
recently, we had a client in Youngstown, Ohio, Alta Head Start, and this we planned in 2019. We worked with them over the past 2 years. We just ended our um, that license expired, and they're going forward with other activities. But our involvement with Alta Head Start in Youngstown went straight into the teeth of the pandemic. And thankfully, their team was able to get organized and present the workshop online. So they did it by Zoom. So the answer is yes. Parents Forum is virtual, can be virtual, even though in the best case, it's face-to-face in the same room.
so during a workshop, how many families do you typically see in a workshop when you're doing a workshop? Is it a
Well,
large group? Do
ideally,
you do small groups?
ideally, the workshop group size is like 15 to 25, because that allows a small, breakout groups of 3 to 5 people. And, if I'm standing in front of a group of 25 people, I might not want to say everything, but to a group of 3 or 5, I could.
Right.
So that's the ideal size. Obviously, online, it doesn't much matter. It can be large. I think the Youngstown group had, I think maybe 30 parents participating.
Wow, 30. That's a big group.
Well, they did well. And one of the things that they did that I think is key, since parenting education in general is a challenge to get participants, right? Because parents are busy. They offered incentives. So I would say that to National Parents Union members who are active in the community and want to consider Parents Forum is look for a host, look for an agency that already engages with a group of parents. It could be a school, could be a social service agency, and get them to host and license the curriculum. But then after that, engage businesses in giving, gift certificates or actual goods. I think the Youngstown group actually gave a laptop, a new
Oh, wow.
laptop to one of the parents who was totally faithful in her participation. So people need to be incentivized, right?
They do. And especially, we've been doing so many Zoom gatherings, right, over the past year and a half almost, and just you get zoomed out, right? But that's how we've been connecting and communicating is via Zoom. So those incentives to join a Zoom are sometimes necessary because and now that things are opening back up, we're still doing things via Zoom, but people are out, it's summer, they're out doing, they're kind of living life again, somewhat normal. So that's a really big incentive. I probably would be like, you know what, I think I'm going to make that one.
Just in case.
Just in
Right.
case you get that chance for the laptop. But no, I think just the content, and the more I learn as a parent, some of the questions that you ask, as we go through parenting, and we sometimes carry over our parenting from the way we were parented, and sometimes we want to break that cycle. And so the questions that you ask, like it, sparked some answers within me, and not just how I am today, but probably how I remember life as a child and in the parenting with my parents. Um, just utilizing those things that are accessible to us, the curriculums and the Zooms and the platforms that we can do and utilize to be better humans, not just better parents, but better humans.
Colleen, let's give our listeners a little taste of a
Oh.
work. By telling me a change that you've made that you've found has been a good one. In other words, a change
Okay.
from something you used to do that wasn't working very well and something that you've developed that is more successful.
So one thing that I do is I apologize to my kids. To me, that's a huge thing. When I'm wrong, one, my parents never did it, and there was probably a time, because I was a step parent before I was a parent, and I made some mistakes, coming in, being a step parent. And so I learned from that, and an apology for me is huge, because it lets me be human to my children, but I'm also wrong a lot as a parent, and it to me it teaches my children, one, that I respect them and do love them, and that when you make a mistake, you own it. And so that's probably one thing that I've grown to change, in just that communication. And I try really, yelling was big in my home uh, as a child. And
Mhm.
it used to be how you almost thought things had, if you weren't upset and show that you were upset, it then maybe you weren't really upset, but that's not the case. And so I've learned to change that. And I don't I try very hard not to yell. Now I have a 17-year-old at home, and she's pretty much she's a good kid. She's not bad, but she's kind of a pig. And so there's times that I have to get stern, but I try really hard not to yell, because yelling, um, it just it just makes everybody upset. It doesn't accomplish anything. So
Exactly, Colleen. Thank you for sharing that. Here
it's
we are on a national Facebook Live, right?
yeah. Let me tell my flaws. No, it's to me, and honestly, I'll own it. I'll own it all day long. I believe that the only way that we really help each other, and because I could sugarcoat everything and not tell the truth, but it doesn't help anybody. And I'm so imperfect, and my kids know I'm imperfect. But I try to be better every day and try to be a good parent, because
And
it's
I'm sure you are. I'm sure you are.
we question it a lot. You question it as you go, because you battle so much, right? Like, parents today, I think, they're in a very difficult spot, because it's
Right.
not just a community parenting. We have a world parenting our kids, right? We have information coming, um, at our kids from all different angles, and at us as parents. Just are you a good parent? Well, how do you measure? Because there's a lot of perfect ones out there, right? And when we
Oh,
look at
oh, really?
social media, and just how things are portrayed on television and just in the media, you start to feel inadequate, and that just weighs heavy on a parent, and it really affects our homes.
I think there are a lot of people who would like to look perfect and who like to present themselves as having it all together. But to me, that highlights what is really the key way parents can help each other. In other
Right.
words, yes, we have to take care of our kids. Yes, we have to keep our houses in decent order and earn money and all the rest. But really, the most important thing we can do as parents is help each other.
Right.
And the first book I wrote, I have to put a plug in for
Yeah.
Where the Heart Listens for our program handbook. But the next book that I do want to write is How Parents Matter Most. And I really think that how parents matter most is how we relate to each other, and sharing, as you just did, that you've made changes. This might inspire other parents who were, as I was, raised by wonderful, often exuberant, and occasionally yelling parents, that there's a different path,
Right.
and that we can support each other in making positive changes. It opens a door for our kids to do the same.
I'm curious, Eve. I was just sitting here thinking about, I call it Facebook parenting. Um, what are the ages of the families? Like, how old are the children of the parents that you tend to see come to your workshops?
Interesting. Um, well, in Youngstown, we worked with Head Start parents, so parents of preschoolers. Um, we have had good experiences where we didn't define, we want parents of this age group. And in fact, the question you ask is one that our team is wrestling with right now. Because if an agency, let's say, or let's say a National Parents Union group in a certain community, if you have, let's say, 15, 17 parents, how many of them are likely to have kids in exactly the age range that you want to serve? Probably not all of them. So the minute we start saying, well, Parents Forum is for parents of kids 6 to 10, we lock out parents of kids 5 and under and parents of kids 11 and over. So what we're thinking of now is that what we need to do is simply license our curriculum to a community group, a school, a faith community, a correctional institution, who knows, to an agency that serves parents, to a pediatric practice. And then let the agency or pediatric practice or school use it with the parents they serve, because it is so adaptable.
Right.
And we need to know, as parents, we need to know to ask for this.
So the reason that, and I'll just kind of give you a little insight as to why I asked the question, is, with being a parent, there's so many resources out there. There's so many support groups for the younger children, for the infant, the toddler, the preschooler, and pretty much the K through 5. And once you hit 6th grade, 7th grade, there are very limited resources, and everybody's kid is perfect on Facebook. And so when your child or your family and home life is not so perfect, the tendency is to feel very isolated and alone and almost like a failure, right, as a parent. And I'm speaking very much from personal experience. And the resources out there for parents to utilize when your children are, in the, we'll say 7th grade and up, they're extremely limited. And to receive support or different things from the community, your child almost has to be a delinquent. It has to be documented trouble or something like that. And when you approach your friends with some of your struggles, if they're not really good friends, the judgment's there, right? And, oh, your child is doing, well, once you start reaching out, and I found once you start reaching out, a lot of people are experiencing what you're experiencing, but they're just not talking about it, and we don't have the resources for it. And so I'm just curious as to, with the older kids, how this would serve families.
Our picture in Parents Forum, our ideal, our vision, is that Parents Forum would be everywhere that parents need it. And that grammar schools, ideally, as you say, there are resources for preschoolers, and parents generally take advantage because they know they need them. I would like to see kindergarten sign up at every school, include we're signing your child up. We have Parents Forum. We want all our parents to take this, so that the habit in parents would develop over those grammar school years, which are relatively smooth, not always, but relatively, to what comes after, so that when the kids turn 11, 12, 13 and appropriately start to individuate, that's what the psychologists call it, they want to stand on their own 2 feet, that parents would have a network. But it's not too late at that point. If one of you listening, watching today is interested in creating Parents Forum at your school, at your church, or through your pediatrician, sign up with us, but also approach the leadership in that agency or institution and say, I want you to host Parents Forum for me and my friends. We're not all doing perfectly.
Yeah.
And we could help each other in a positive and preventive way.
I think that's a great way to approach it. Yeah. And I like what you said, Eve, about it's not too late. Because I know that I had to make some shifts, and this is just all personal experience, right? Shifts in my parenting to maintain decent relationships with my children through the teen years. I had great toddlers and elementary kids, and the teen years just add something different, and you do have to shift how you parent, and the listening to your children. It's not easy, especially when they're out there and they're experiencing different things, and they're exposed to different things. Sometimes you want to
You don't
not
want to hear
hear
it.
what they say, but
Well, I know we have just a few minutes
yeah.
left. I want to applaud what you said about how the key really is listening. And one thing that Parents Forum can help, that helps me do it and make it work, is to bookend. In other words, if I'm having a situation, I might call my friend Bonnie, my friend Colleen. I might talk to one of my sons now, who are resources to me as grown men and parents themselves. And then I would have that difficult conversation or face that challenge that has come up in my life. We all have challenges. And then I would know that I could debrief after and I could talk it through. I mean, our brochure, which you can download, is called "What Challenges Do You Face?"
It's and where can our viewers, because we have just a few minutes left, so I want to make sure that they know where they can go to download that brochure, and how they can reach out to you, so that if they are interested in hosting or more information, and connecting you with someone in their community, how do they go about doing that?
Well, it's pretty simple. Parentsforum.org, parentsforum.org. And you can write to info@ and you'll get straight to me. There is a form that you can also fill out, which would asks for different information. How many parents are in your group? Is there an agency head that we could approach? One of the keys, I think, to success in our group in Youngstown, and then we're working with an agency in Little Rock, Arkansas, as well as an agency in Algiers, Algeria, to reach out and serve a broad range of parents. But we had media coverage. So don't hide your light under a barrel. If you're doing this, write letters to the editor, get an op-ed in, talk to the mayor. I think we underestimate how important it is to have backing of civic leaders and to say, we want all our parents to have this. It's like an inoculation, right? We want our COVID shots, we want our flu shots, we want our measles shots, and we want our MTV, and we want our Parents Forum.
We want our MTV. I love it. And we want our MTV. That's a new tagline, right? That's the new commercial. We want our MTV and our Parents Forum.
Thank you, Colleen. I so appreciate National Parents Unit. I'm glad we're a member. I will be happy to hear from NPU members and anyone else.
I am so grateful that you took the time to be with us today. And Eve, we're going to have to circle back after this and see how we together can make sure that we get this.
Let me ask one last thing. I see another minute on the clock.
Yeah.
This month, August 1st, is Respect for Parents Day, marks 1 year since we have had our newsletter, Voices of Parents Forum. So besides sending us a message, please sign up for the newsletter on parentsforum.org at the bottom of the page and receive Voices of Parents Forum, published monthly, not a big burden.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Eve. It's always such a pleasure to see you and hear of your great work and I'm so happy that you have the funding to do it and share this with families.
Need more. Anybody have a wheelbarrow full of Benjamins?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, just disperse it amongst us all, right? So that we can continue to do the work that we do. It's so important. And I thank you so much. And we will be back next week with another partner spotlight. And we'll see you then. Thank you, Eve.
Thanks, Colleen. Bye-bye.